进季后赛的话就意味着我们可能就离就是我们目标冠军就更进一步。不管是什么队伍打上来，我们都会在就是杭州准备好，然后等待他们的挑战吧。
Definitely shining some light on the question we had there coming out from Mako. Is just like, are EDG looking towards being MSI representatives, or are they just trying to build up this roster, looking towards, Rift Rivals, looking towards Worlds, and that's why you have Hara in the starting lineup. But it seems like Mako wants to go for gold.
100%. A lot of people forget about the fact that EDG are defending champions here. Sure, they went into international events and it didn't look good for them, but EDG coming into this one have the trophy and they don't want to relinquish it.
But you know what international event they did look good at?
Ooh.
Was MSI.
That's true.
So all I'm saying is that their MSI record, if they get there, pretty strong.
And just to finish up some of the housekeeping as well, Scout picked up our MVP coming out of Game 2 as well. And this guy, he's definitely inconsistent, but when he hits hard.
And the strength and why we're seeing a 2-0, possibly a 3-0 come out of EDG is the one strength that we gave to Rogue Warriors that was a weakness for EDG was the mid-jungle synergy. You now have Game 1, Haro MVP, Game 2, Scout MVP. So the weakness for EDG is stepping up on the day.
And one thing I really liked what Scout was doing in those team fights, whenever Kindred would set up with an ultimate, he would try and flick out the enemy team and make them scramble to get back into it, or at least they would just lose footing entirely. So it was a nice detail that we were seeing in team fights coming out of his Taliyah, and we've seen Scout on Taliyah throughout the split, and that's been his best champion by far. I wonder if he gets his hands on it again.
All right, here's my question. So from what we've seen today in this best of 5, do you think that RW are simply just outmatched from what we've seen out from EDG? It seems like they're just hitting them hard in the early game, and yes, they managed to get back around the mid game, but were then shut down once again because EDG had that lead in the early game. So is there a way for them to actually win this series from what we've seen?
Rogue Warriors is struggling on execution. I don't want to say that they're just outright losing draft, but Edward Gaming certainly have a better plan for their draft that's made to counteract what Rogue Warriors are doing, and then Rogue Warriors are also mis-executing. So I think it's just two-pronged problem that's happening right now. Either completely change up the draft or at least work better on what you've got going for you.
Yeah, and to double down on the point of execution, 16-minute team fight, or at least dive in the top lane, where it was SMLZ just tanking 3 tower shots.
Yeah.
So that was just disastrous. There have been numerous dives that they've just butchered. We can't have that happen, especially when they don't have an early game composition.
Is there anything that EDG need to change coming into this
Absolutely
third
not.
game? They just keep on going? Because clearly it's working for them.
And they haven't even shown their hand. I mean, maybe you can say that the Kindred pick is kind of one of the ace up their sleeve, but ultimately they're playing pretty much the exact same style back to back to back.
The adaptation is really nice to see out of EDG as well. The fact that they do have more up their sleeve and it works at the same time. So many times we see teams bust out picks and playoffs. It's like, haha, our ace, here we go. And then it just completely flops. You're like, why was that even coming out?
That's the thing. That's what I love about EDG coming into this, because this is a full best of 5. This is game 2 that they came in with a theory-crafted pick of Kindred. And sure, we've seen it once coming out of Pepper, but that was such a throwaway because Pepper comes in with like new junglers, or at least he comes in with a new style, but you never see it coming out of Haro, out of EDG in playoff time. So that's insane for them, and especially if they're able to take this one out cleanly 3-0, they're holding on to a few picks going into the finals.
And they'll definitely need to if they want to face across from RNG, who pulled out the Senj pick that we saw earlier on in the NALCS. So kind of both are front runners, if you will. EDG, if they close out the series, and RNG waiting in Chengdu, have these secret picks that we haven't seen throughout the whole season of LPL.
All right, last question. If I'm Rogue Warriors, am I literally just like hand down on the emergency button? Doinby, you got to carry.
Kog'Maw.
Get me a carry pick in the mid lane. Let's go. Do they change up to the style we saw in that 5th game against BLG?
Game 1, I said that they need to get the Varus pick. They need to get Varus pick. Early game, they need to be going hard. And even though I said that they don't necessarily need to take away the Kai'Sa pick, I just want an early game pick in some lane.
Quickly, Frosk.
Kog'Maw.
Kog'Maw. There you have
go.
it. That's all we need right now. We're going to send it over to the casters and get right into Champion Select.
Thank you so much. And in Champion Select, we now are already EDG are showing us that they are deciding to change their pick and ban Kai'Sa, stricken away from Rogue Warriors, and we're already seeing the immediate change up as Rogue Warriors look to take away Mako's power pick.
And they banned Taliyah, so thank the heavens Rogue Warriors have actually worked it out. Their mid lane priority was a big problem for them. They've been suffering through Scout's ability to roam and lock down their team members when they are completely out of position. Scout's been playing out of his mind, but we have said this all split long. Do not give him Taliyah if you're against him, and if you are EDG, give him Taliyah because of how good he is on the pick. So that's gone. Things are going to change here for both teams.
Already the Alistair locked in. As the timer runs down, Swain will be picked up for a flex between Scout and Ray. Very strong pick on this 8.6 patch, as Haro will counterpick away Flawless's Trundle here in this game too. You could already see the fans are cheering him on.
Yeah.
The newcomer to EDG, showing that he deserves to be respected.
Certainly does, and of course this time it's going to be a takeaway from Flawless, who commanded respect of his own in that second game against EDG. Yes, they lost, but he looked fantastic. Now coming into the third, he has to respond. He does get an opportunity to counter in the jungle position if he would like. It doesn't mean that there's a lot of options that directly counter that of the Trundle.
We'll see what that's going to be. Scion, another flex for Rogue Warriors. We could send that towards Doinby or towards Mouse, as Varus will be picked up by SMLZ. Champion that he's very well known for.
This is good, and of course you can go towards an AD carry if you want an EDG side. You could go towards a support as well, but through the start of this third game draft pick ban phase, we have seen so many different changes, but it feels like they've picked each team, like each other team's respective compositions in an attempt to take them away just as much as it is to counter.
That does mean Shen will go through towards EDG. Again, they're not giving away much here. We know that can go to Mako. We know that can go to Ray. There's still a lot of flexibility for this lineup.
Yeah.
Just picking away some powerful champions for EDG without giving away their hand. We're still looking for Doinby and Flawless, if not Mouse and Flawless, for this next round of pick. We've seen jungle pressure limit Rogue Warriors in the past. If unlocking Flawless brought them success in Game 2, will EDG try to shut him down in Game 3?
And now we're starting to see the AD carry bans from Rogue Warriors, taking things away from IB. I wouldn't be shocked if a Caitlyn is actually something to follow here, but the Xayah gone's already a big deal. It means that you can't just flex Xayah Rakan, throw that into the bottom lane at the exact same time. So Rogue Warriors acknowledging where the strengths are going to be from EDG, preventing those strengths from happening. Same thing goes for EDG, getting rid of the Cassiopeia.
Another AD carry ban. iBoy no longer able to take his Caitlyn in the bottom lane, a champion that he also is known for here in the LPL. Something that he really has made a name for himself. he's perhaps giving a nod to Jackie Love.
Why play Space Vayne when you can play Vayne?
Actual Vayne, yeah. We'll see what he decides to go for as he decides to run this through against Varus. Kog'Maw is the most likely, as it doesn't give away too much of the flexibility, though Jhin also works just as well.
The thing is, you don't actually know what he's going to pick because you don't really know what their finished composition looks like. Is the Shen actually supporting him? Is the first question that you have to ask, and that influences the 2v2 dynamic. Well, EDG don't need to show that. So it is an AD carry that you will see as their fourth pick. The flex will finally be revealed as their last rotation once they know what the entire composition of Rogue Warriors looks like. Whilst Ryze may be a flex, it's actually very unlikely that it goes anywhere other than mid. This means that EDG, if they want to, I'd put your Swain mid now, put your Shen towards either lane, pick the matchup you want.
Yeah, very good composition from Edward Gaming. Flawless, taking Kha'Zix in the jungle to try and match Edward Gaming. And with that, Rogue Warriors seem to almost ignore the flex of Edward Gaming and instead pick themselves for comfort. They've got the very strong Scion, they've got SMLZ on his Varus, they've got Doinby on his Ryze, and things round out comfortably for them. That said, last pick red side, Rakan will slip through, and Edward Gaming lock it in.
And you'll note that Rogue Warriors banned away the Xayah, not the Rakan, and that is because they were afraid of iBoy getting the duo, denying the duo. But we've recently actually seen an uprising in people preferring Rakan more than they even do the Xayah in pretty much every team composition. The engage that he's got, his ability to utilize any itemization choices, play styles, and just fit seamlessly into all types of team compositions has really set Rakan up to be one of the strongest supports running around on Summoner's Rift. Now they've got that one with a Jhin, which traditionally you wouldn't be looking at and saying that is a sick duo lane.
Yeah.
But it still has the capabilities of being exactly that.
Already we've seen the terrifying roaming potential of Mako on that Alistar in the first two games. Well, this time around he's on something with a lot more easier engage. The grand entrance, the quickness to try and lock someone down. Pair that up with the Trundle and the Swain, suddenly it becomes a deadly combination. Will Rogue Warriors be able to turn this back and try to start the reverse sweep? They find themselves on match point here up against one of the best organizations in LPL history.
Rogue Warriors well and truly on the back foot. Not only as the draft start to set up now as they take things away from their opponents, but 0-2 down in the best of series. And they haven't gone towards the stock standard pick me Kog'Maw and I will carry the game SMLZ. They've given him the Varus because they want to take it away from EDG And this is the sign of, you know, it happens in a best of 5. The meta within itself starts to form. But that may not be ideal for Rogue Warriors to just outright win this game. A lot of the onus still does go down to the bottom lane, however. That's where the team's focus. That's where they put everything into. And if Rogue Warriors can start this one off early strong, then they may still find themselves with the victory and bouncing back in this set.
You just saw Doinby with a bit of a smile.
Sailor Clearlove.
Coming into that final game. Perhaps that's the Sailor version of Haro. Sailor Haro turns into Clearlove. That said, we've got match point, ladies and gentlemen. Edward Gaming versus Rogue Warriors. We have loaded onto the Rift. The mountain remains immovable. They show they have got the class, they have got the experience, and they're going to try to close it out here.
So the fans out in force, of course, for this third game, particularly for EDG. They've got the momentum. Everything's going in their favor. But as the level 1 starts to pan out, this is one of those rare occasions where you won't see everyone just fanned, trying to play it slowly and see how the level 1 starts. Instead, EDG grouping up a little bit more, so placing vision as a response to what Rogue Warriors have done, which is the exact same thing. You can see the ward just there, placed early, trying to find where they are.
Scout with these 14 MVPs. Shows that he should absolutely be respected. We call him a double-edged blade for Edward Gaming. When he pops off, it is huge, but when he falls, it is quite grand.
They're
this time
be
he's
spotted.
absolutely
Rogue
popping
Warriors
off.
will take this fight. Doinby's
Members, they're stepping up. That's a knock-up onto 2. Look at Haro. He's over the wall. They chase him down. First blood, SMLZ.
That is not someone you want to give first blood towards. Now, it does mean that no one's going to get a leash in the jungle, and that's a Kha'Zix who's going to have a pretty bad experience. No flash for himself as well. And EDG have vision. They know exactly where he is. But it was Haro that dies. So he's not going to have a great time jungling by himself. When you look at the tempo as well, this actually sets up both junglers to be in an awkward position. But with a kill to SMLZ against the Boots Jhin, it's not the way you start a game against Rogue Warriors.
It certainly is not. We'll absolutely have to keep an eye on that bottom lane, as SMLZ in the past 3 games has been down an average of 15 CS against iBoy. But Flawless is just declaring that this jungle is his. He takes his red buff and invades over to the blue.
Yeah, great immediate movements here out of Flawless, knowing full well that the Trundle either ran to the blue buff straight away, so he would have had no experience at level down against a red buff Kha'Zix, but he wasn't there, so he's at red. You get a free blue buff. You even get an opportunity, if you wanted to do blue, Gromp, and Wolves, and if you're healthy enough, gank bottom lane, because Vision's dead by then.
It absolutely is. He will be trying to finish off this Gromp. Has no smite, so needs to kite it out just a bit to stall some of the damage. But look at Haro's pathing. He might head over to those Wolves to try and contest, perhaps predicting the movement of Flawless, or even so, just going for a standard clear. No, that's red buff Raptors to his own bottom side of the map.
I think what's more interesting here is actually that he chooses not to go towards the Scuttle Crab before recalling Flawless. Could have even got extra health from that camp if he wanted to go for a gank. But because his bottom lane's pushing in, and perhaps it's knowledge of where the vision was placed by Scout in particular, you can see one in the river there, just didn't want to be seen. Wants to remain invisible, doesn't want to give any knowledge or information to EDG. And even with Haru being able to find this Scuttle Crab, I'd be very confused as to where Flawless is. I almost want to invade to find him, because you just don't know.
Oh, the engage onto SMLZ. He's caught by the snare, but Haro is on the way. Will he be able to make it to the lane in time? Nope, just decides to take Scuttle Crab for himself and get a ward over the wall. Still no idea where Flawless is. As Doinby makes his way back into the mid lane, we heard him say he might have to become super carry this game, this series, to try and carry his team over the line. This time, he's up against Scout, who is playing out of his mind this series. He might have to go super carry too.
If ever there was a game that he has to do it would be this one. If ever there was a champion that Doinby will be able to carry with, it will be the Rise, something that we saw from him in that Game 5 against Billy Gaming. Went absolutely insane and helped his team over the line in the end. So now it's not a Game 5, but it is a 0-2 down Game 3, so you've still got to do it now. There's no other opportunities.
Look at Flawless's pathing. He actually managed to dodge the ward at Raptors and is now going to skirt around the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, because that was visible as well, so he's going to be able to walk around. He's with Doinby, but there's no camps. So I'm not sure if his intentions here is to actually gank bottom lane, but he's skirted the vision perfectly.
Finally shows himself on that Scuttle Crab. He's been spotted for the first time this game since that trade at the red buff in which Haro died. And take a look at that. He's also playing his patented Predator Kha'Zix. Along with that water walking and celerity, I expect for even more movement speed.
You forget sometimes that that isn't your stock standard Kha'Zix keystone of choice, but that is the standard for Flawless, and it is something that we do see in Korea as well. It's the ability to be super mobile. If you hit level 6, you pop the Predator, and you're running invisible. I mean, no one knows where you are, but you're also Speed Racer running around, so they don't know where you're going to be once you press invisibility.
Playing that vision game, so intelligent. That's why we know Flawless is such a good jungler, as he's going to now be able to secure his Krugs on the bottom half. He hasn't been able to affect the map too much outside of his first trade onto Haro, forcing that death, as the second Scuttle Crab will now be taken by Haro on the top side.
But it is pretty good of him to be going even against the Trundle through the jungle as well. One big strength that a Trundle always possesses is once he gets the Tiamat, his clear speed increases ridiculously compared to what it was before. His ability to do Raptors will go up, when now it's super slow because he's simply single target. Flawless, he's even. He knows that he's even, and he's happy to continue to farm up to 6, where his utility skyrockets.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to focus down this bottom half of the map. He's spotted going out for that Gromp by Mako and iBoy, who pull off to zone him out of the jungle. Seems like Flawless is trying to play a counter jungle style to deny Haro as best he can, and like you said, get that level 6 faster. But it's the bottom lane from iBoy and Mako who protect that side of the map that might give an opening for Haro to catch up.
Perhaps just trying to cause discomfort for Haro, put him in an awkward position. In a playoff scenario, it's not a bad choice as well, just exploiting the youngest member of EDG. Ultimately, when you've got the experience of iBoy and Mako, they know where he is, they counter it, they prevent him from being in a position where he gets any further experience or farm leads. So that's good stuff from EDG, and even better awareness from Flawless. Of course, his bottom lane was in base. They were shopping. So he doesn't get exploited during that time. He's more calm and reserved in his decision-making. That helps a lot.
That's something you absolutely need when you're on match point against the best team in LPL history. Edward Gaming winning more titles than anyone else in the league by a country mile. Still, Rogue Warriors, despite being up against the wall, the odds now find themselves here in this Game 3. Trying to bring it back, looking for what now must be a reverse sweep if they want to try to get into this series. They're up 500 gold with that first blood on SMLZ. First buy-in, even CS, gives them a pickaxe, boots, and a dagger.
To the Caulfield's Warhammer, of course, of iBoy. And we're still hitting that point, and you mentioned the slow pace of the jungle. That's absolutely the case. The thing you need to look for now is the level 6 spikes. Doinb is level 6, doesn't mean a great deal, but gives mobility. Scout is level 6. He has kill threat with that if he's able to get all of his soul shards up, and he does have a lot of them right now. He's fully stacked. So through that, there's an opportunity in the middle lane for EDG to get kills. There's an ability for Rogue Warriors to roam through their middle lane to look towards the bottom lane. That's the place that you would want to be going when SMLZ in particular ticks over to that 6 point.
Now, Flawless is 6. He drops a ward. I believe Haro might have just seen that. It was just placed in the brush. Gets some damage onto Scout, Demonic Ascension, and Visions of Empire. He flashes back a bit too much more than he can chew. Chains of Corruption in the bottom lane is SMLZ looking for Mako. He's got flash. There's no heal. Killua has to get away from the turret. Stand United is utilized as Killua tries to get out, but iBoy flashes down with the grenade, ticks to level 6, and SMLZ, dodging for his dear life, gets out of there. Teleport canceled from Mouse.
Yeah, they get the teleport out of Mouse as well. That's just the icing on the cake. EDG with the Shen ultimate. They play around it. The 2v2 was attempted by Rogue Warriors, knowing that junglers won't be there, knowing that mid laners can't be there. They thought they had the chance, but they forgot about Shen. And just like that, they're able to get collapsed on. It was a nice idea from Rogue Warriors, and I do appreciate it in theory. The hypotheticals never come true when there's a Shen to prevent any of the 2v2 calculations. That sets up EDG once again to be strong.
Flawless has found Scout again, sees him recalling.
He will do this.
Doinby's there with the Realm Warp. He manages to catch up. Scout chunked down to half. Flash utilized from Scout. Flash snare. Doinby catches up. Do they have the damage to get the kill, or will Scout be able to retreat? They do. Doinby gets a kill for himself.
Mouse even just around the corner. He's now gone to the red buff and will help Flawless secure this buff. Trundle's going to be here in a 1v2, and there's no Shen to assist. So Rogue Warriors, they find the opportunity. They do bounce back and look very strong. Capitalizing on Scout being caught earlier, not having his ultimate, knowing that he was just going to go down.
Now, Mouse actually did just use his ultimate there, but I believe he bumped into the pillar, which is Constable Trundle, so it was a traffic cone saying slow down.
He was breaking the law.
He was.
He's not permitted to
in
go
that
any
invade.
further.
Bit of breaking and entering from Flawless, but he heads back into the top lane against his dreaded lane opponent of Ray on that other side of the map. Still, though, that jungle mid synergy pays off for Flawless this time, though. Flawless might be here to return the favor.
He's having a very bad experience, his Mouse in the top lane, but it's on purpose this time. Flawless is sitting out of the bush because he wants to turn invisible.
Steps up. With red buff, Ray is still able to walk away, play around the lane so he doesn't get caught out. Mouse just gets that CS and ducks back into brush.
Good respect from Ray, though. Doesn't have the Tiamat, so doesn't have a lot of wave clear. That's why Flawless is being very coy with him currently. In this state, the lane state as it currently is, Mouse is in a very rough spot. Ray being able to control him, not even having the Tiamat, actually is dire straits for that top lane 1v1. But that's just Mouse in a nutshell. He doesn't win lane. Even when it looks like he's losing lane, that's just another day in the office for him. It's all about when he has the teleport, when he can make the plays. And when you look to Mouse, his Rush Banner of Command. So he is ready to place that down in a lane and leave the lane immediately. And it also forces offensive itemization out of Ray on the Shen to be able to clear the Banner of Command cannon minion. That's cute stuff here from Rogue Warriors. It's not exactly out of the ordinary, but it is important for the next couple of minutes.
We'll see what that next objective is going to be, if perhaps it's a dive bottom or a roam mid. Cloud Dragon, not huge incentive for the teams to take, though that certainly would be nice for the Kazakhs to maneuver between those bushes just a little bit faster.
I'd actually say it's generally quite an important dragon in this game, for Swain even to stay close to people and be able to utilize that ultimate effectively. For the Kazakhs, like you mentioned, absolutely. But even the likes of Jin being a move speed based champion trying to catch people down.
Flawless has actually gotten behind Mouse there. I don't think he saw that ward get placed, but Ray just knows that something is up. Haro has started off the Cloud Dragon. Doinby has been missing for so long, and the bottom lane from Rogue Warriors is off the map.
So they choose to trade major objectives here. You're looking at the Dragon to be traded for the top lane turret, which is a big win for Rogue Warriors overall, if they can still mount a defense on the bottom side of the map. And they are.
And engage in the bottom lane to defend the bottom tier 1 as first brick is split amongst the 3 top members of Rogue Warriors. Still, Scout is trying to push in that mid lane. Teleport is ready for Doinby and Mouse, along with Realm Warp for Doinby.
Yeah. That's where I think this is the better play from Rogue Warriors, if they can still defend this. But there's no teleports just yet. There's teleports.
Mako is the target. He cleanses to get out. That's the teleport from both Doinby and Mouse. They've killed Haro as Mako just barely gets out of there. Here comes the chase. This is for being former teammates, Mouse says. He catches back up. It's time to catch your
Mouse.
pain train. Doinby has found Scout on the side. Mako still dodging around. Ray joins the fight. Good shadow dash as Scout is doing damage on the side, but Flawless joins in. Scout pops Demonic Ascension to try and escape, but does he have enough? Ray is there, but Doinby's got the kill.
And this is so much better from Rogue Warriors. Where was this in game 1 and 2 as well? They've controlled EDG. They're matching the tempo. They're making proactive plays for gold. And then when they take the team fights, they unleash Mouse once again to make those big team fight plays. And this is happening 12 minutes in this time around. And this does not look like the EDG from game 1 and 2 because they're actually being pressured. This game is starting to equalize, and a big lead tends to grow now for Rogue Warriors. They're setting themselves up to succeed even more so by winning that team fight.
Yeah, SMLZ and Killua off the back of that fight are still pushing bottom, looking to take a turret perhaps. And we just saw the top tier 2 was still chunked down to half. Rogue Warriors are dictating the pace of the map, and they're actually going to be able to get this. 2 turrets to 0, 3,500 gold lead for Rogue Warriors 13 minutes in.
And it helps so much to have a Varus and an Alistar in your bottom lane, being your 2v2, having crowd control, having the ability to use the Alistar ultimate and be a tank when you're not in certain instances proves invaluable for them for defending that turret in the first place, for not dying or taking too much damage secondly as well, and then giving space and time for your team to come down there with the vision that you have set because you have early lane control in the 2v2 and you're able to push up for that. This bottom lane 2v2 choice is working out and paying dividends, as it has for the first 2 games for EDG. I'm starting to see a trend here, Dom.
Mouse with his bannered cannon, even protecting it, taking turrets hit for it so it can chip away at that turret's health. If you can't beat him, beat the turret, Mouse says. Coming up with the strategy to overcome Ray in this lane. Still, though, Stand United will be coming up soon, and Ray is holding on to that teleport. Next dragon will be Mountain, and Rift Herald is on the map. So that cross-map play could open up the game a bit more for EDG if they're able to control their own side of the map first.
They're looking towards red buff and then towards top lane as well, but EDG trying to defend this time.
Immediate shadow dash onto Flawless. He leaps away, but it's the swoop-to-whoop from
out.
Mako to catch up. Still, Flawless escapes with his life.
You have to remember the distance covered just to catch Flawless. He'd already jumped away. He has the flash and he has the ultimate, so his utility keeps him well and truly in it. And he is starting to become online as that speed racer. As you can see him just sprinting through the screen. Rogue Warriors, the counterplay. They're looking for Scout.
Yeah, Killua's over the wall. That's the rune prison. He flashes to safety as Mouse will slam into the turret. Teleport even being used and canceled by Ray.
But that is the trade you take for Rogue Warriors. Just being in the middle lane, having some presence there, and being able to get that trade is a big win because you can come back later.
Yeah.
No flash for the Swain means that Killua can rinse and repeat this strategy. He's actually still got the flash available. And because every other turret except for mid lane is broken, you can go to Rift Herald if this doesn't work anyway.
This is absolutely a different type of trade than the one we saw in Game 2. Inhibitor for a Tier 2, as now they're trying to take this mid-Tier 1. SMLZ steps up, still working away the health on it. As Mouse heads back top lane with that banner of command to keep Ray busy. Slowly but surely, EDG are giving up ground, as now the Rift Herald has been started by Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, when you put everything into trying to defend against the earlier game, but you lose at level 1, things start to become very awkward for you if you're EDG in this instance. Now they are still just trying to scale up, get towards those big items. Spike Swain's hit levels, which is where he wants to be. Now just needs to follow that through with the itemization, and then he'll be super powerful. Ray, on the opposite side, you can see he's got the Titanic Hydra completed for himself. Good against the Banner of Command, good against clearing waves, not good against being survivable, against the magic damage that comes out of Rogue Warriors, let alone the physical that'll also be there from Flawless. So he needs to scale up, get resistance items, and when he is online, he'll be able to help team fight with the team. And that's a very important feature for EDG, so it's about holding on right now. And like we said in the second game, just try and keep the gold difference where it is and don't let it snowball.
It's so funny now that we're saying it for the other team. Edward Gaming are the ones who find themselves at a deficit in this Game 3, but as for, they group up in the mid lane. Doinby, he's got his level 11 Realm Warp, doesn't have teleport, the wave crashes in, and Edward Gaming actually find an opening in Rogue Warriors' flurry of attacks and are able to get an attack back.
Certainly do. They pick themselves up the free little turret in there. Of course, the Rift Turret is still available and something that both teams should be looking towards. Right now, EDG, they are looking for an opportunity. They've got a sniff. They can smell out Doinby, but can they kill him?
He wants the turret flash engage, and it turns out they cannot. You're correct, Rusty. He just hops over the wall and gets out.
So far away from that bush that Mako had to try and flash engage and was still well off, was just going to sprint at him. They do get a flash out of Doinby, but they lose a turret.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Top tier 2 now taken for Rogue Warriors, 3 turrets to 2. Bottom tier 1 was taken by Ray in the meanwhile as Flawless finishes off the Rift Herald, and Mountain Dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. Rogue Warriors have already got an advantage in terms of that gold and the neutral objectives. Will they be able to try to get back to even in these elemental dragons?
EDG do have complete vision control of the river and defensively inside their own blue buff. You can see that on the minimap right now, but they just got the Rift Herald. They're able to push forwards. They don't even need the Herald to break this turret. In fact, it is going to be given over for free. This means that they now have more control of the Rift as well, equalizing that of EDG. And now they've got the vision with that. Very risky for Edward Gaming to press forwards at all.
Especially with Mako's quickness and flash on cooldown, plus no Hex Flash, so no way to get in quickly on top of a target. As the Dragon will be finished off by Rogue Warriors, now 1-to-1 in those neutral dragons, and Rogue Warriors, this is what the composition is supposed to look like. This is what their playstyle is supposed to look like once they get some momentum, once they're able to kick things off. It's not supposed to be the chaotic trades, it's supposed to be the constant pressure that gets them advantages.
Yeah, and even though Flawless gets a character like Kha'Zix in this one, he's still able to enable his team. He's not going to be the hard carry for himself every single time. His constant weaving and movement through the vision and his awareness of vision is something that Flawless does excel at. You saw him through the early game navigation into the enemy jungle. It didn't give him a big lead, but they knew exactly where Haro was at every time. And if they know that information, Doinby is free. SMLZ knows when he can take the 2v2s, and then Rogue Warriors start to win. And the biggest thing that we have to mention, and I'm sure will get mentioned on the desk, is that Scout's not playing Talia, and that Doinby has been actually free to move. And suddenly they're winning.
All it takes is that one change to alter the strategy of Edward Gaming. And it's opening up a CS advantage. It's got kills. They've got turrets. Rogue Warriors now dictating the map. And in 45 seconds, Baron spawns. The early game, Edward Gaming can give up a few turrets, can give up a few neutral objectives. Well, suddenly the stakes are being raised, I should say. And EDG...
Cal's on an escalator, though.
That's the one. EDG will have to try and match it. We know that this is one of the best teams in the league. That's actually the Predator being used.
He's trying to find them, and right now, this Rise going top lane.
Big burst onto Haro, chunks him down to half, and he
Whoa.
clears it out. Realm Warp up top, as you mentioned. Scout is the target. SMLZ tries to get in. Curtain call into the backline. Killua is there, and Scout kills SMLZ. He will trade his life for it, though. Fourth bullet, not enough to kill Flawless, as that is still 1-for-1, but Killua drops and makes it 2-for-1 in favor of EDG. Knockup prevents Haro from chasing just a bit further, as Doinby will be able to walk it off.
Good little slow there to disengage from Flawless on the back end, but the AD carry is dead. Rogue Warriors' hopes and dreams of winning that team fight are completely gone with that, simply because Scout is Swain, and he had the stopwatch. He's able to keep himself alive for such a long period of time that they couldn't kill him without trading their carry's life. It doesn't mean EDG get control of the Baron by any means, but it does get them one step closer to at least having vision in that area, and that is the most important part right now. Mouse already has a banner of command. They're trying to scale up to that point, and this disconnected movement from Rogue Warriors, bringing only SMLZ, who misses the ult, and Doinby, and then having to teleport someone in. So much time has been burnt. Good flash from SMLZ. He does play the fight as well as he can, but he can't do anything else. Scout's still Swain.
And that's where we see the mechanical ability for Rogue Warriors still coming up big in trying to take that fight, but EDG just as on fire in this series. They've still got the 2-game advantage. Now Rift Herald dropped in the mid lane, perhaps to buy some time.
Yeah, just gives them access towards deeper vision control if they would like. You have to bring someone to try and defend this, at least show yourself in the area. So 3 of them nearby does give Rogue Warriors availability into the red side jungle. And we just saw a contrast of what happens when Scout's not on Talia. He doesn't control the early game as well. He doesn't control Doinby as well. But he's still a team-fighting character, and he's team-fighting right now super strong. So moving forwards, that's what you're looking at for EDG. Get the 5v5 going, get Scout going insane.
Now we've actually got Rogue Warriors pushing up onto this mid-tier 2. It's chunked initially by the Rift Herald, but with a bannered cannon, it barely stands a few seconds before shuddering under the weight of Rogue Warriors' push. And 5 turrets to 2. Mouse trying to clear out some vision for his team, deny EDG entrance to that Baron pit, opening up the map even more. Something Flawless has got to be really happy about.
We're at a point in the game, though, when you look at Rogue Warriors' engage tools, if you're front-to-back standard 5v5 fighting, not really a possibility. But
look who's coming down. Mouse.
Looking towards Ray.
Can he drift around the corner?
Oh, we caught him.
Man, he actually catches up to Ray. That's a knock-up. He's getting a lot of burst. Ray doesn't have Stand United, doesn't have Flash, doesn't have a chance. Doinby 3-0-2.
And you take those kills when you've got a teleport on your mid laner as well. Mouse doesn't have one, but it'd still be a 4v4 and Doinby able to contribute so much with how far ahead he is. EDG get to clear vision, but they lose their top laner, and as such, they lose side lane control. So now they have to reset, and it takes an extended period of time for the Shen to be able to do this, let alone in 2 lanes where Rogue Warriors are pressuring everything and trying to tear EDG apart.
This time it's Ray that falls down, but still 4 members holding on to that top half of the map. They don't want to sacrifice vision around the pit. Mako clearing out some wards with the backup of Scout just to keep him safe, as Rogue Warriors decide instead to reset the map. They've got their recall. They've got some pretty big items coming across and are looking scarier than ever.
Now we are at a point where Banner of Command can be matched by top laners, however. So the top lane 1v1 has equalized. We're at a point where maybe Shen can finally start to press forwards a little bit more often and take on Mouse again. Doinby is the only person that you have to consider in those instances. So that's Ray's job now, is find Rise and then know that he's safe to take side lane control. But with the current lane priorities of Rogue Warriors, they don't have Rise in a side lane. They actually have Sion on the opposite side of the map to that of Shen in Ray. But he's on the Baron side of the map, so their priorities have completely swung. They want to have 5 people grouped up sooner rather than later, and they don't want to have a teleport or a Sign ultimate to go through the river.
And look at the immediate pings from EDG. They spot him as he moves through Tribush. Baron is started out. And look at the shred. That Mountain Dragon plus the isolation damage from Flawless. It's down to 1,700 over the wall, but Baron is picked up. EDG still trying to take this fight. Mako dashes out, but still dies to SMLZ's homing auto attack. Scout locks him down in the pit. Goes golden as Ray will end up trading his life over. SMLZ blocked by Killua is still alive. Doinby in the back along with Flawless, cleaning it up. 4 kills, knock up onto Haro, the assassination, and that's 5.
And Doinby's already teleported to top lane. They've got the Baron on a Bannon minion as well. They're pushing to the inhib. May actually just be game.
20
We
seconds.
might be going to game 4.
iBoy is going to be back up. Mako's up in 5, but still they race forward. Mouse is trading his own health to try and close this out. The reverse sweep could be beginning here.
That's
Mako
one
is
alive.
back up. They immediately nuke him down before turning onto that last Nexus turret. iBoy is back up, but it is not enough. The Nexus is going to crumble, and even the kill for insult to injury from SMLZ. 13-3. Rogue Warriors strike back.
And that game felt so much more like a Rogue Warriors performance. They start strong, they unlock Doinby, and they roam around the map utilizing their jungler in flawless. Clean showing from them, so much cleaner than games 1 and 2. And EDG honestly weren't left with a lot of options. This is almost reminiscent of that game 1 showing where EDG just smashed Rogue Warriors. Now the shoe is on the other foot. Momentum has equalized.
It certainly has. Rogue Warriors backs against the wall in this series. The final chance for them to show their stuff, to show their mettle against the best team in LPL history, the reigning champions of the LPL. And they stand tall, they stand strong. That's right, Ray. Rogue Warriors are going backstage first.
Waits his turn. Respects all of the Rogue Warriors as they do go backstage as a grouping. Now we find ourselves that little bit closer, Dom, to a game 5 once again. It could be both semifinals going there if Rogue Warriors can continue that form. But we've seen so much priority now and how the meta has shifted in just this best of 5 alone. Give priority in mid lane to Doinby and get the Alistar or the Varus for your respective bottom lane seems like major strengths. This is very close to this prototypical Rogue Warriors composition that they excel with. Now EDG's priorities in the draft phase may also shift.
Yeah, we'll see how EDG adapt coming into this game 4. Again, we know that they are one of the most experienced teams in LPL history. If anyone can do it, it's got to be EDG. Plus, they've still got a full 1-game buffer to try and experiment if they were looking for that sort of strategy. But now Rogue Warriors are starting to get some momentum with that game 3 win. Could we be seeing the reverse sweep beginning here?
Don't forget, Dom, the Lord and Savior is also just waiting in the wings in Clear Love, so it's not an easy feat to do for Rogue Warriors, but they're one step closer.
We're about to find out, though. Still, let's hear from our analyst to break down how Rogue Warriors brought back that game 3.
Thank you so much, Dom. And you know what? We have a series on our hands.
We're on the board, boys.
We're on the board. Rogue Warriors get that 1 win, taking us to a game 4. We're going to at least have another game right here. It is still match point, so it's still scary for Rogue Warriors, but they managed to pull it back.
And if they're going to do it, they're going to do it in the fashion which I thought it was going to be, which is the early game. They were getting pushed too many times game after game where they were just crumbling and having to play reactively. This time around, they take the first step. Varus was a major priority that they were able to get for themselves, and the mid lane as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me, is that mid lane. Rusty said it on Cass. Yes, we're going to talk about it on the desk. Denying the Talia away from Scout, one of his best champions, and then it opens up the ability for Doinby to go off on Rise, to be able to make those momentum-based plays by rotating towards the bot side and getting things snowballed.
Yeah, immediately able to get us push for himself, so suddenly the Kazakhs pick is unlocked. So now we just have early aggression coming out of the team, and that's what we wanted to see from the beginning.
Now, that said, the draft just came up on your screen. I want to point at some picks that I don't really agree with from EDG.
Okay, let's go.
And it starts with Jhin, and it ends with Rakan. Now, by themselves, these are great. This is like orange juice and brushing your teeth, though. Like, good by themselves.
Yep.
Together, not great. And what tells me is the idea from EDG was, okay, we see that the Varus, the Alistar has been locked in. We don't want to take the Kog'Maw because we're just going to get, blasted in lane phase. So they pick Jhin because Jhin is incredibly safe. He can just back up, clear the wave. He's not going to be under threat there. Rakan, though, as last pick, they probably didn't want Mako in that lane. He was probably supposed to roam around a lot more. Didn't happen, got locked down, and just got destroyed.
And separated from Xayah, honestly, Rakan has a few matchups that he actually works well in. Caitlyn is another one, just something that can carry him through the laning phase and has pressure and doesn't have to rely on the Rakan. So I would love to see, if it's going to be a Rakan, a Caitlyn. Or, it got banned later on, but if you're going to have the Jhin, give me an Alistar. Something that provides space for Jhin to work with, because Rakan is way too squishy, especially in the early portions of the game, to allow those early game skirmishes to work in their favor, so they conceded way too much.
Now, you said it started and ended in the bottom lane in terms of the problems for EDG. Now, was it literally just them playing too safe? Because we saw in the first 2 games, they managed to get massive advantage in the early game, shut down Rogue Warriors before they could get to those team fights. So was that the reason, or was it execution in game?
I mean, yes, it's execution. The thing is I've watched so much of EDG, like, we can say exactly what champions EDG's members really thrive on. We say it time and time again. Talia for Scout, it's one of his best champions. He cannot play Swain. Like, physically, he can play Swain. You just watched him pick it.
That's
but
true.
it's not an effective champion for him. It's Swain doing a lot of the work. But Edward Gaming, they've been around for so long, and they're such an established organization, it almost feels like there's some hubris there in terms of forcing picks that they just aren't as effective on and they shouldn't even be looking at to begin with, and then they give away other priority picks or power picks for themselves, and it happens way too often for EDG.
And then when you look at what happened in-game, all this kind of surmounted into basically a very fast win. We've actually seen a lot of very fast games coming out here. We're going to take a look at that final fight that really sealed the deal there for Rogue Warriors, and it was around this Baron.
And this is the big takeaways, because they already had control in this area. They already had the vision control heavily here. It's all on EDG trying to get at least any desperation point. Maybe picking up the Baron, it didn't happen. Maybe trying to see if they can get a pick across, but that's just a throwaway. So this fight was just essentially the result of what was happening for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Not pretty from EDG. Again, this type of composition, these types of champions, they're not known for any of these champs. I mean, Jin, that you got some balls picking that across from SMLZ because that's one of his signature picks, and it just did not pan out.
Yeah, and that hubris right there gave way for Rogue Warriors to come back as this series. And a lot of that really just came off the back of Doinby. He will be picking up our man of the match in this one as well. And while we've seen the rise come out of him previously in this series, this is where we really got to see him shine.
85% kill participation. Now, he's had a very high
Super
kill...
carry Doinby.
Super carry Doinby. But yeah, he's always had that high kill participation because when he leads the fight, they usually end up coming out with a win. I know that a stat that's been coming across from the LPL specifically is the engage statistic of mid laners. He has the highest part of it, just being able to be that first person that goes forward in his team, and that's what we got to see here.
And the biggest thing is to continue to unlock super carry Doinby, they need to continue to ban the Talia. So do EDG then swap sides and start to take advantage of Rogue Warriors being hamstrung in draft a little bit, since they're trying to deny so many power picks.
Try and swap it up, look for the mix-ups, especially if you're Rogue Warriors, and try and get another win right here, because it did seem like it did start from those pick and bans. We'll see if they can do it once again, as we will go to a quick break before we get back for our Game 4.